Everyone knows that time is incredibly valuable, precious resource, and it's limited, which is why a good use of your time when you're hiring is to conduct a really good phone interview. Now, here's why. I want to draw in a metaphor, one of my favorites for the hiring process, and that's dating. Dating, engagement, and marriage have a lot of parallels with a good hiring process. And you create a healthy marriage, that is. And when I was dating, after getting a divorce and then dating again, I wanted to do it right. And so I went through a process. I had selection criteria. Imagine that. The hiring guy has selection criteria. I made sure that when I went on dating sites, and I did, I found who's now my wife on eHarmony. I knew who I was looking for. The people who were a fit, I would reach out to, and we would exchange through the eHarmony process, messages and things like that. And then I'd have a phone conversation before I ever showed up for a date. And I was very clear. I had questions I would ask. I would get to know the person. I would trust my instincts, but I'd also trust the facts because I wanted to have good first dates. I didn't want to waste my time. I didn't want to waste their time. And did I? I did. I met 20 plus women. I don't know the exact number, but it was somewhere in that ballpark before I met my wife. I never had a bad first date. Yes, some were better than others. There were a couple where the women had misrepresented themselves and it hadn't come up yet. But overall, they were really good dates because I planned for them and I put a process in place. And those phone interviews helped me make sure that that face time, which is a precious thing, was well spent. If you do the same thing in interviewing, your face-to-face interviews are going to go a lot better. They're going to be more valuable. It's a good use of your time. So now let me give you those 4 tips, 4 things that you can do to set up those really great phone interviews. All right, so here's tip number 1. When you do this before the phone interview, you assign meaningful homework. Now let me give you an example of that. You could give homework such as, and you do this in the email correspondence or maybe quick phone conversation to set up the phone interview. Ask the candidate to check out your competitors because you want to talk with them in the conversation how you might grab market share away from those competitors. And so they go do that homework, you hope, or they don't. But in the first interview, you can now talk about what they did. You can see, did they follow the directions? What kind of work did they do? What ideas did they bring? How serious did they take it? It's a great first step to see how invested they are, see their skills, see the application of their skills. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, open with a compelling question. Now you're going to do this before you talk about that homework that you just assigned. What are those compelling questions? Let me give you 2 of my favorites. First one is, why us? Why are they interested in your company? What are their motives? Great starter question to learn about them and what's driving their interest in you. Or another variation, why this industry? Especially somebody who's changing industries. What is it about your industry that you're in that's drawing them to you? You're going to get to their motives, why they're interested, a little behind the scenes, what's in their head. Now, tip number 3, give them directions. Now, no, this isn't directions to get to your company because you don't know if you want to meet with them face-to-face yet. I'm talking about directions as in, do they follow directions? This, when I figured this one out in my own interviewing, this was a game changer. I can't teach follow-through. I can't teach integrity. I can't teach a lot of things, and I can't teach people to be good at following directions. Yeah, they can get better at it when they come to work for me, but this is inherently packaged within them by the time they get to me. So give simple directions and you'll see how they're going to do. Because look, this one's not going to get better once you hire them. What you get in the interview is what you're going to get when you hire them. So what's a simple direction? Well, one of my favorites is that you ask them to give you a 60-second overview about something. 60-second overview of their career, 60-second overview as to why they chose this line of work. It is a powerful way to get information while also seeing if they follow directions. Lastly, tip number 4, give closing homework. Closing homework could be something like, think about why you're a fit, sleep on that overnight, and email me tomorrow and let me know why you think you're a fit based on our conversation today. And you tell them to do that sometime in the morning. Now that's valuable information, but Do they follow the directions? Another instance of following the directions. So they're thinking about you that night, very valuable. You stay in their mind. They're processing it, they're thinking about it carefully, and they're reaching back out to you tomorrow or not. And that's the beauty of these tips and the others. You get to see if they follow directions, you get to understand their motives, you get to see how they apply knowledge or information in doing homework. And then and only then, if they fit your hire rate profile, which is something I feature in my book, High Velocity Hiring, if you check some of those boxes, then and only then do you bring them in for a face-to-face interview. So, time is valuable. This is how you make the most of your time. You only meet with people face-to-face who are worth it. And how do you know if they're worth it? Because you've conducted a great phone interview.